make a deal with God, and I get him to swap our places. Be running up that road, be running up that hill, be running up that building. Say if I only could. Come on, baby. Come on, darling. Let me steal this moment from you now. Come on, angel. Come on, darling. Let's exchange the experience. If I only could, I'd make a deal with God, and I'd get him to swap our places. Be running up that road, be running up that hill, with no problems. Say if I only could, I'd make a deal with God, and I'd get him to swap our places. Be running up that road, be running up that hill, with no problems. Be running up that hill, if I only could. Be running up that hill, if I only could. Be running up that hill.
What's good? What's good? It's your boy UAG here, back with another episode of the Weekly Retro Party, brought to you by our friends over there at Manscaped. If you need to get them balls nice and clean for the young lady, go over to Manscaped, use code WRP. With that being said, we bring in the crew, my man, my brother from another mother. What's good, my guy?
What it is, what it ain't, and what it's gonna be, my dude. What's happening?
Man, I'm chilling. You know, I had to be dad today. My kid got sick, so had to pull a half a day at home. I'm still working, but you know how it is. Today's drink of the day. I don't have an adult beverage today, but I do have me some Prime, and this shit is outlawed in Europe. So you know this shit is strong. It's basically liquid cocaine. And I'm okay with that.
But is it delicious though? If it ain't delicious,
it is delicious. What is this? The flavor of the day is strawberry watermelon. And so I don't drink this in front of certain people because I don't want to be typecast. But I do have it. I do have it on deck.
Got the watermelon drink.
Yes. So today, first time on the show, we're introducing a new segment, and it's called What the F Moments. And the reason why I brought this up, because I read something in particular on the internet, and dude, I'm gonna bring it up. I want you to read it because you're gonna really get the gist of it once you read it. Because I have to be like, nah, this is not serious. This is a practical joke. This can't be true. Okay, so I'm gonna pull it up and I want you to read it, and I want to hear your thoughts on this. Okay.
Oh Lord, I need to get my specs. Let me see what I got here. Okay.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna make it big so everybody can see it. We don't need to be on screen.
Yeah, let's see this.
Read it out loud so people could hear it.
Man, I could barely see it. Pull it. Make it big.
I'll read it. I said, okay, I'm dealing with a bipolar man. It makes me sick. Okay. First, he dated me for 2 months, and then he opened up his home to me and my 3 kids. We moved out of my mom's house and into the townhouse. I registered my kids into the school district. He gave me a spare room to braid hair and earn money. We had fun, and I was loving the vibe. I know he loves me and adores my kids, but I made one mistake, and he threw all of us out. My side dude stopped by and got his braids done. and borrowed some money. I also gave him a quick BJ. I did not know that there was cameras in my braiding room, or I wouldn't have slipped up. I apologized, and Mr. Bipolar switched up on me and threw me and the kids all out and all our things in the front yard. I took what I could fit in the Uber. I can't believe how he snapped and turned on us. What relationship red flags did I miss? I'm so scared to be vulnerable with a man again. Advice. Now, I don't know. I have to believe that this was some kind of practical joke. That there was no way that this was real. But it has to be. Endless. My brother is in the chat. He sees his hat. It was like the bat signal. He came out of the cave. What up, brother?
Endless, what's up, baby? And you see, I had to put it on for you, baby. It's kind of crazy.
So tell me, Toxin's like, who's that shorty? I don't know the girl, but I gotta believe that this is some practical joke. What up, Earth Monster?
You know what the crazy thing about all this is, though, bro?
What?
So in this day and age, that shit, man.
You can't, but it could be believable, right?
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like maybe 10 years ago, that probably was a joke.
Dude, in the age of social media today, man, that shit might be real. Because in the whole fact that she was like, I slipped up because it was a camera.
She's like, if there was no cameras, I would have never sucked that man's dick. But I wish he would have told me. I wish he would have gave me a disclaimer that there was cameras in there, because I wouldn't have sucked that man's dick. That's the thing that's killing me. Like I was like bipolar. Ain't no fucking bipolar.
Nah, he was bipolar. He just was like, yo, you gotta go.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. So
hey, bro, it's good. Hey, man, it's so good to hear from you, man. Bree loves all her gifts, man. So thank you so much.
So you think it's believable?
I think in 2024, with the way people do things and the way people live on social media and put every piece of their life out there to the world, I would like to think that it wouldn't be believable, but knowing these young people, it definitely could be. Because at this point, especially with some of the stuff, it's like, what thirsty mofo gonna read this and be like, well, I got you, baby. Don't worry about all that.
No, you know somebody's there like this. No, you know what? It's all right. Come over here. I got you.
You and your kids. Don't worry about it.
I'll be the stepdaddy. I'll be stepdaddy. Now, I first of all, I was shook. I was shocked. Like, bitch, you the red flag. You are the red flag. There is no red flags. You're the red flag. That's what it is. That's one. Okay, boom. Now, the second thing I came across, I don't have the article up, but I'll tell you the gist of it. Okay. This lady, for the past week, was serving her husband tea, right? And she put a tablet in that bitch, thought it was sugar, supposedly. This is what she tells the police. It was bleach. This bitch was trying to kill her husband for over a week. This nigga said the tea tastes funny. He put a camera and caught that bitch, and it was bleach tablets.
Hey, man.
And she goes to the officer. I didn't even know. I swear to God, I thought that was sugar. My bad. Nah. Like she wasn't going to go to jail.
Nah, she tried to kill dude, man. She tried to off him, bro. My thing is they can tell. That's crazy.
Yeah, right. Wait a minute. He's right about this. She's over here showing that print. She's showing the print.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. No, she done, hold on. She in the hotel. She done messed up. She out there shopping, bro. She is shopping. She ain't showing off the kitty. She is shopping.
Oh man. Again, but that's real. That's real. Okay, and the number three comes from your neck of the woods. Now I know. Now I know. The shit done changed. Cam Newton is having a 7-on-7.
Oh yeah, this shit happens here. This shit happened here. I know,
and he's doing this out the kindness of his heart.
Yeah,
he loves to give back to his community and the kids. And now this is like the third time that something has come up. Yeah, I mean, some people were talking shit about him the last thing, and now they over here jump the man. And you know the poise that this man has. He doesn't lay them out. This dude is 6'5", 260 pounds worth of muscle.
255 pounds solid muscle, 6'5". He's a wrestler, dude.
He looked like he was chiseled out of rock, like he's a Greek god. And you gonna try to jump this man, and he doesn't kill these. He don't kill him.
Nah, like, they never landed a punch.
The dude is poised. He knows that there's cameras around him all the time. He is not trying to risk his livelihood over these people. At this point, you got to believe that he's got to say, you know what? I'm done. I'm not going to do this no more.
Nah, so check this out. So it's funny that you mentioned this because I can say it now because it's totally hilarious. So you know I'm in the A, right? So and I coach. So I have had
when I saw this, I thought about you.
Yeah, so I got 7-on-7 teams, and I got some 7-on-7. I got a 7-on-7 team that actually, well, my organization has a 7-on-7 team that competes at their level, right? So against some of Cam Newton's guys, they travel around the country. So we played them in Texas, we played them in Cali, we played them in Las Vegas, and we played them here. I got some video and some stuff I can send up to you, like, you know, saying like the hardest block ever in 7-on-7. If you just Google that in Instagram, that's one of my kids. He's at UGA right now playing. He's a sophomore. He got a couple rings, so you know.
Oh, Toxic with the jokes today. He's true. He ain't lying though.
But yo, dude, so the first thing happened after that, we got calls. Like, me and my organization started getting calls. Like, was y'all at the 7-on-7? Was y'all in the fight? Was y'all fighting Cam Newton? Who was that? It was like, no.
And this whole time, that stupid ass hat didn't fall off his head. I don't know how. I don't know how.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something. This is the shit that gets me though. So from a football player who played at a high level, the problem I have with this whole thing is that not Cam Newton's size, but Cam Newton literally was the highest paid athlete in the world. Well, not say the world, but in pro football. At that time, and his job was to fight off defensive linemen. What do you think that this dude is gonna do when these people are gonna do when you had somebody who had to literally fight off defensive linemen to get the ball in the air?
I don't even understand like your thought process. You should be learning from this man. This man is probably one of the greatest dual quarterbacks that ever played the game. And you should be getting knowledge from this man. And
you talking about dudes that
fight off the parents
6, 7.
They don't control these kids 1,000%.
Well, so that wasn't kids; those were actually adults.
Those were men.
Those were coaches. So you got to understand, people don't get it, man. This 7-on-7 stuff because you have so many scouts out there. And Cam has a bunch of teams. He doesn't have just one. He has like 2 or 3 teams. So, and they're all like his teams are like pretty much nationally ranked traveling teams. So you have scouts at these 7-on-7 tournaments, right? You have like literally serious D1 college scouts out there looking, because some of these kids are some of the best kids in the nation that play at this level. You know, you see them in the high school, so like that, but they play at the level. So when you go out there and your team does somebody, and this stuff is like usually on ESPN3 or something like that, these tournaments are aired or they're online, and people got grudge money. Like, I done been to games, man, where I done seen dudes, I ain't gonna say some people who might be head coaches of D1 colleges and stuff now bet $10,000 to $15,000 on kids, man. It's not unbelievable. I seen it. I done seen it in my face. I done seen it right there in my eyes. So yeah, it'd be some fights, bro.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, that was our first time doing the what the F. So my and MGK's information is on the link down below. If you find something that you want to talk about next week, send us an article, a video, whatnot. We definitely will bring it up because I like this topic. I like it, and so we're going to definitely bring it back. But to the main event.
Yes, sir.
One of the things that I don't know if you noticed, but it feels like it's a renaissance of some sort in terms of retro gaming and arcade gaming. Like everybody wants to get in on it. And right now, one of these games just came out, brought it back. Contra comes out with this newest edition that went back to the old school of side-scrolling shoot 'em ups. So
and I'm glad they did, man. I'm glad they changed it because they had another one that had came out before, and that shit sucked.
Yeah, and I think that's what happened. They said like, "Yo, this wasn't it." They brought it back out, and so I wanted to show it for us, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah,
I'm excited about it. Let's bring it up a little. I don't want us to get snapped up, but this looks very reminiscent of the old school, like the first freaking Contra.
Yeah, so I can play that. I can't wait to play some shit like that. That's my joint.
I'm liking this. I'm liking this a lot. And this is on the Switch. So, it looks good. It looks good.
I'm not going to say nothing. It's on the Switch?
It's on the Switch. Yeah, don't be talking about that other thing. We're going to talk about them too.
I ain't say nothing. I just
Yeah. Billy Wright says it's also on the PC. So, yeah.
so both places. Cool.
Yeah. And we're gonna talk about you real quick because you the reason why Nintendo's suing people.
Hey, I ain't the reason why Sony laid everybody off though.
Oh, this is true. So we got that.
Yeah.
But there's another game, and this is a little bit more modern style, but we also got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles coming out with their arcade game that they currently have right now in all the Dave and Buster's. Raw Thrills is behind this, and this is coming out to the consoles, and I'm excited about this. This is let's start it from the beginning. So this is both interesting for us in the community, and I'm gonna tell you why. Let's just see it.
Please do.
This is coming out in April, by the way.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've seen the cartoon. I got young kids, so this is how the cartoon looks nowadays.
Yeah,
it's in that same style.
Yeah, I it's hard for me to watch, but I get you. See, I ain't got no kids, so it's hard for me to watch. I'll admit it.
This is not my Turtles. You saw Bebop was all skinny and shit.
Yeah, Bebop.
I need fat ass Bebop. I don't need no anorexic Bebop.
Need Bebop that was losing his breath when he was running. Craig.
At least Rocksteady looked like Rocksteady though.
So they got everybody in here. Okay.
He said Bebop was on Weight Watchers. So that's so these two games are coming out now. What's interesting about this is that it's from Raw Thrills, and if you don't know, Raw Thrills did a couple of games for Arcade 1-Up. They're behind Big Buck Hunter. They're behind Fast and the Furious. They also did the work on Blitz and NBA Jam. Yeah. Because no longer does Midway exist. A lot of the people that used to work at Midway has switched over to Raw Thrills.
Yeah.
And Eugene Jarvis is over there. He was over there at Midway. He brought everything over to Raw Thrills. So there is a very strong possibility, if they're coming to try to bring this at home, that Arcade 1-Up could bring this to the house. And they already know that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a seller in their eyes.
So are you saying that we may get a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle deluxe cab that features the new version of the side scroller along with some of the classic Turtle games? That should have sold.
So let me tell you something. John D, he hides in plain sight, and what he said once, like, we may not do Shredder's Revenge, because that, even though we have the rights to that, it just wouldn't. But this is a strong possibility, and they always talked about coming into the modern times with these raw thrill games.
Yeah.
So I really think that this is a strong possibility of happening. Now, the caveat to that is they don't longer have John D over there, Arcade 1-Up.
But so do they still have the license?
They still have that relationship. They still have the license currently right now, right? They just don't have that relationship. So we have to see Mr. Cyrus graduate into the position that he's in and start putting on his big boy pants and start pulling his weight because he's getting the checks.
Yo,
can he deliver?
I'm gonna tell you something. I got to give Cyrus props, man, because he did something, man, that I know that we haven't really talked about it. Maybe other people have talked about it, but he did something up under his regime that actually, to me, was a go. I'm sorry. I just got to put it out there. So
what was it?
So have you looked up Arcade 1-Up on Amazon?
What?
Just on your phone, man. Look it up right now.
Look up what?
Just type in Arcade 1-Up on your phone on Amazon. Dude, their whole collection is on Amazon.
Yeah, well, that's they really went away from being like a brick store and being like a dropping shit. Amazon is perfect for that.
But what I'm saying is that they remember they kept saying they were trying to stay away from that for the longest, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
They said it. They say, with the MVMX is, and with iArcade and with everybody else out there, they stayed away from it. So look at you're looking at just right now, you're looking at the new releases, right? So the new deluxe of the X-Men. Just type it in.
They have the whole collection.
They got the whole. And what I'm about to hit you with is gonna surprise you.
Shoot.
Everything except for maybe 3 items on the whole thing is under $4.99 and under. Everything.
Well, Amazon has a big buying power. They're gonna buy in bulk, and they could get that price down because they want to move units.
So think about it. You talking about if you got so in some cases free shipping or Prime or however they do it, that shit is a go, bro. I mean, so if it's, and I'm looking at it when I went on there, the reason why I said it is that so what was that? Hold on a second. I hope you guys
do the show again weekly. We are, bro. You got to come in one time. We got to pull you out of retirement.
We got to have you, baby. So what I like is that the offerings that they have are stuff that's hard to find anywhere. So some of the stuff that they have on Amazon was the stuff that people were having a hard time finding in the wild. You get what I'm saying? Even though you get what I'm saying, and you didn't necessarily want to go through Arcade 1-Up to buy it, but when you was going on there, you was like, everybody's so familiar with Amazon. But when I looked at what was all offered on there, I tripped out. I was like, damn. Like that their offering was like their whole catalog. Like just scroll down to Arcade 1-Up right there. Yeah, there you go. It just hit the go button and scroll. Like everything is there, bro. Outside of like the table.
And you even got the pinball still going there.
The pinball still going. Everything is there. Even go to like right there where you see the cocktails and all that stuff like that. Everything is there, bro. You tell me, like, outside of a couple of titles, but like even their counter case, everything is there, bro. I was tripping. I was like, damn, okay, that's a move. It ain't happened before.
Well, that was perfect that we will be able to segue to our next topic. X-Men 97 hit pre-orders over here, and you can get this actually cheaper than the regular Marvel vs. Capcom.
Yes,
the regular Marvel vs. Capcom is like a $5.49, which is a discount because it normally was going at $5.99. But you're getting this $100 less to push it out the door,
and you still get to play online with everybody, right? So
yep. It's the same game lineup, it's just different artwork. They're really trying to capitalize on Disney Plus coming out with the new series X-Men 97. So it has the X-Men 97 artwork. It's
licensing, baby.
Yeah. And that's the one of beautiful thing. Like Arcade 1-Up you can say what you will about them. They're smart in terms of how they market their stuff. They piggyback off of whatever's happening. Like when Mortal Kombat came out, the movie, that's when they released the deluxe cabinet, and rightfully so. They're doing this. They're coming out with the deluxe cabinet with that trailer just dropped. So it's really smart in their eyes to do that. You know.
So I'm gonna tell you guys, watch out when you start seeing some of the promo stuff for X-Men 97.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, you might see some cameo shots of some stuff in there, even though it wasn't from 97. You might see some cameo shots and some other stuff that's going on.
Yep. And with that being said, let's go to another topic that we have.
Sure.
And when they talk about the Nintendo ninjas, they're real. They're real. They are real.
They come for you, baby.
So Nintendo is currently in the process of suing Yuzu, also known as Tropic Haze LLC, and they're approaching it in a different way. They're not suing them for the actual emulation, but they're suing them for basically helping people pirate and tell. So one of the things that they point out in this article, and I'll leave the link in the comment section down below so you can see it if you like. It's 41 pages, but they basically said that there were the reasons why Breath of the Wild was out early, and Breath of the Wild had about 130 million downloads, and the only way you could play it was through this emulator. So they basically said, I think you guys had a big hand on that game not selling as well as it did. Not to mention that there was 140 completed downloads, but there was another 130 that didn't complete. So you could that's a lot of movement there. And they also mentioned in this article that they gave in the documents that they believe that the people at Yuzu would get the games early and try to make sure that they work properly so they can pirate it.
Okay, out. So here, let me put my legal hat on. Hey Dan, I'm putting on the legal hat. You ready? This shit don't have no ground.
You don't think so? You don't think that they're saying that you're big? And first of all, you're helping them. You're giving them directions on how to.
You listen
let me finish my argument. Then you fight it. You're giving people directions on how to mod your Switch hardware to run these bootleg copies of the games in advance. Not like you have the game and you're backing it up. You don't have the game. The game is not out, and you're doing this.
Are you ready?
Go ahead.
Okay. So, question. First thing first. Yuzu is a code company, right? Basically, they're just a code company. That's all they do is coding. They do software and coding. They don't make games. They don't do anything, right? So, who put the code for Breath of the Wild in their hands?
Somebody, the community that they have. The Nintendo. When I say the ninjas out, they were even in their Discords reading their messages, showing them basically converting like, oh, I got this problem. This is happening. How can you help me get this to work?
So you got to remember, so the Pirate Bay and a lot of other torrent sites have been sued several times over the last 15 years. The problem you have is that file sharing in itself is highly unregulated.
Okay, I agree.
It's a situation because you got to remember most of these games that these people get, that these pirated games, which I don't condone, are specifically from torrents. So if you're talking about people sharing files, then you can take Yuzu all the way out of the mix because no matter whether you had Yuzu or not, the file sharing is happening. Now, you're gonna say that the emulator, which uses certain things that Nintendo Switch has inside of their software that they don't provide, that you have to go out there and put in. You got to remember, this is a cocktail. You got to grab different things from all over the place. They don't give you a ready-made solution to do anything. You got to go grab keys over here. You got to go grab firmware over here. You got to go grab a game over here. You got to do all this stuff. Then you got to put it together and you got to make it work.
Okay, but so this is where I think that they have a leg to stand on. They're saying we're not suing the emulator. We're suing that you're facilitating the piracy. You're basically holding a community to say, hey, if you go in this direction, you may find that game. If you go this direction, you may find the certificate that you're needing. And when you do find those, why don't you come back to us and I'm going to show you what folders you're supposed to put them in, what order it's supposed to be in, so it can run properly. You're saying you're hinting to people where to go, and then when you have that, come back and I'll show you how to make it work. So that's where I think they have a leg to stand on.
So check this out. I'm glad I got somebody like Dan in here. And if anybody else here does any coding or software, let me tell you what's messed up about it. Nintendo hadn't created any original software in years. So every time these guys write code to create a game, all they're doing is creating a template. Now they make this template and they have this idea and they put their own stuff in there. And now even with AI, you can sit out here and make your own code for this game and you can have it do what you want it to do, right? You can make it whatever. As long as your prompts are strong enough to have AI do it, it can literally code itself into a game if you want it to be. So you're telling me that Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, most of these developers, everybody out here, nobody creates raw code anymore. So what you're saying is that the code that's out there is a templated piece of software that's out there for everybody to use. If that's the case, then they're stealing. The only thing they did was tailor it to their hardware.
I can't speak to that. I ain't a coder. I can't speak to that. That's like when Arcade1Up got in trouble for them saying that they use Duck. I think it was some kind of Duck emulator that does PlayStation.
Ducky.
So it's public knowledge, but you have to credit it. And when you do make some adjustments to make it work, you have to let everybody know, hey, this is what I did. Now it's public knowledge. Everybody can use it. If they're doing that and they don't do that, that's on them. They're going to get their wrist slapped. And people are going to step in.
So what they're going to end up doing is basically they're going to try to do is find the databases and be able to backtrack all this stuff, because they're going to go with Yuzu, but basically Yuzu is going to say, I need to know who everybody in your automatic update files are. Everybody who's in all this other stuff is, right? So they can go back and then they're going to start suing people left and right just out of sheer shock factor. Like, you might have somebody that's just chilling, going to work one day and come back and be like, I got a multi-million-dollar lawsuit.
Hold on. I think I may have a guess. Okay. I got a guess who could speak to this. Because he has intimate knowledge on this. So we got to bring him on. Give me a second. Let me get this man a link.
Oh, okay. So I mean, when we, all of us sit here and we do this stuff, when we run code, like right now, I'm sitting here creating a gaming code project for my girls coding group that's going to create their own all original game. But the problem is that it technically isn't, because the foundation is there. It's unless you got a whole new platform that you create that doesn't exist. There's no such thing as just like new code. You're just building on top of base code all the time.
Yeah, I got you, man. I don't want to move off of this topic because he could probably speak to the next one too, because there's a new way to play Marvel vs. Capcom 2 online.
Okay, what's that?
It's using the emulator RPC3, who's basically a PlayStation 3 emulator. Like it was already be able to emulate on there, but now you can play online, and there's a bunch of cool stuff that you could do.
What?
Actually, yeah, they have the RPCNetwork where you can play quick matches, scoreboard matches, lobbies. You can invite people, and it's all working. And they said it's actually working better than what it was on actual PlayStation 3.
Okay, so is it better than Fightcade?
Yeah, Fightcade is kind of buggy in a sense.
Fightcade is real buggy.
That's playing on the arcade version. Some people say that the console version is actually better because you have some hidden characters and stuff like that you don't necessarily have on there. But let me go ahead. Let me just pull up the tweet so you can see it. Follow my man over there, RGCades, S Arcades. They have a full setup. They have a Discord and everything, so you can go ahead and jump over there and they'll help you get that online. But I think that's kind of cool. Now Arcade One
that's one of my favorite. It's
actually
games
the
ever.
worst way to play it online. Everywhere else is better than Arcade One Up at the current time, unfortunately.
Yeah, my big boys back there they just be chilling, right?
Yeah. Listen, those are beautiful they're basically trophies or statues.
They're beautiful artwork and they play, but online,
certain things. But one of your boys could come over there and bang with you if you wanted to. So here, I told you we would have somebody who could speak to this. We have the man, the myth, the legend, Old Man Records. What up, brother?
What up, bro?
Guys, appreciate you guys having me.
Hey man, what's happening?
You always have a seat at the table over here. But I you probably was hearing me say some misinformation with like this. Now let me say my brother. So we was talking about Yuzu and if Nintendo has a leg to stand to kind of combat their so-called piracy. What do you got to say to that, brother?
First, Jose Cuervo.
He got
Talk about So here's the thing: the legalities of Yuzu. It's already been established that emulators themselves are legal.
Yes.
And there's absolutely nothing Nintendo can do about emulation. So even when they took off, there was I forgot what they did. I think it was Dolphin they had on the Steam Deck.
Yeah, they took that out.
Got that taken off. The reason why Nintendo was able to get that taken off, one is because they have a lot of money, and two, Dolphin used cryptographic keys that came from Nintendo. It's what's called illegal keys, or illegal number.
They imported the keys basically.
Yeah, it's called an illegal number. It's basically a math problem that corresponds to something cryptographic on the Nintendo, the Wii U at the time. So they were able to get away with that one. Yuzu, however, does not do that. Yuzu, you have to import your own keys directly there. Now, they may tell you how to do it. It's not illegal to teach information. It's not illegal to teach how these things work. If you want them to be fixed, you got to patch it. That's like somebody telling you how to shoot. I'm doing. You know what I mean? It's not something that they could just stop. If you teach people how to do things, other places might frown upon it, but it's not illegal. So Nintendo, what they're trying to do is pretty much throw the weight around, get a favorable court judge, throw money at it, and hope it'll go away. They don't expect Yuzu to go away because of the lawsuit, because they know they're not going to win this. They expect Yuzu to go away because they're going to tie them up in litigation.
The money.
Yeah, they have to stop. That's what's going to happen. That's how they win, because Nintendo has that kind of money, and they'll fight. They'll fight and pay that money in order to protect their interests, because ultimately they'll save more money in the end fighting the lawsuit versus the lawsuit itself. So even if they got to spend $1 million on lawyers, the people who would ultimately buy something like Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Nintendo is probably the only company where I could pretty much say they might actually lose money from emulation, for their Switch emulation, because a lot of their games are popular. A lot of the games are still out there and still relevant, still present.
And they don't go on sale, bro.
Yeah, Nintendo games don't go on sale. So, Smash Bros. Pokemon Tournament has been $60 since, day one.
Yep.
What is it? Every single Mario game, no Mario game the
They
Wii U
do
Mario
not go on sale.
are still
Do not.
$59.99. So Nintendo and people will buy them. The reason why they're $59.99 is people are gonna buy them. People is gonna buy Mario Kart. Somebody's gonna spend.
I just had to buy a brand new copy of Mario Kart this weekend.
So people are gonna spend the money. So Nintendo, I can truthfully say, it's probably one of the few companies. Nintendo and SNK were the only real companies that actually might be harmed from emulation, but the money they spend on stopping these emulators is what they'll save on people actually buying these games, because I might have bought Tears of the Kingdom had I not played it first on Yuzu, and that's real, because
Dude,
I would have.
They said about 260 million copies probably wasn't purchased because of that. That's crazy.
That's not. I don't want to say it's that high, but it's probably a high number. I don't want to say 260 million. It might be 2.6 million.
But you know what? Probably, even though there's some people that is gonna buy the copy and still download.
Oh yeah,
download it.
Oh,
to play it on other devices.
Yeah, had I not played it first, I might have bought it. I very might have, because I bought the first. I bought Breath of the Wild.
Okay, so
and Switch.
So let's keep it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, so I bought it on Wii U and Switch, and it was it was a good game, but it ain't for me. I never finished it. I wanted to see if Tears of the Kingdom would change my mind, and had I not been able to get it as fast as I was, I might have bought it. So Nintendo's the only one I can really give that leeway to, because they might actually be harmed by it, and them going after the emulators and throwing their money at it might make business sense. I don't like it personally, for obvious reasons, but I understand the business sense for it.
Okay, so Bill, second, you probably was getting on here and you probably didn't hear this, but we was talking about how Marvel vs. Capcom 2 basically has a new way to play online. Like, I know they always was able to emulate it on that the RCS3, but now they're saying they have online. They have quick matches, scoreboard matches, lobbies, and invites. And they said that it probably works better than it actually worked on the PlayStation 3 originally. Have you played it? What do you think about that, man?
You said Arcade One Up got one, or
no. Marvel versus Capcom 2 on right. The PlayStation 3 emulator, the RPCS3.
Oh yeah, it's way better. Way better.
Is it really that good?
It's good. That's how I played it. I don't even use Fightcade on it no more. I got to play the RPCS.
See, that's what I was saying. I still was using Fightcade.
So much better now.
Wow.
They said it's better than when it was playing on the actual hardware itself, the PlayStation 3.
You know why? It's because technology has improved. Internet speeds improved. When you play Marvel 2, if you play it in person, you kind of get it, because there's a lot of one frame links that if you have a slight delay, it's a problem. Especially playing somebody like Magneto, somebody playing, when you play with people that you normally see other people playing with, when you have one frame of delay, it's a problem. And you don't even want to play anymore. That's kind of why the Arcade One Up one dropped off, because one frame of delay is a killer. Like it don't even know more point in playing. Yeah. But you play it on RPCS 3, I mean, just on weak hardware, it's still nice.
So, would you believe, because coincidentally that dropped, and then PlayStation also dropped a new firmware update for the PlayStation 3, and I mean, that hardware, how old is that for them to be dropping software? Do you think that had anything to do with that?
So I've been looking at the PlayStation 3 firmware. I almost believe like it facilitated that. Like it facilitated that actual the help for it.
So you think that it was their way to pay back the community, if you will?
Somewhat, because PlayStation, they aren't as litigious as everybody else. They aren't, they will go after, people breaking their, IP protection and that and the likes. But something like that, because one, there's still 1.9 million active people on PlayStation 3.
That's crazy.
That's
a lot. That's crazy.
They know who's on RPCS 3, because it's not really hard to tell. It's really not hard to tell who's on RPCS 3. But there's actually almost 2 billion people who still play PlayStation 3 to this day. And I guarantee you, at least half of that is on Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4.
Yeah.
What else? Not Call of Duty Modern Warfare, but just Call of Duty 4 was the original Modern Warfare. GTA 5, Marvel 2, and very likely Ultimate Marvel 3. The ones with the server still open in Killzone.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So, with that being said, do you see other things happening in terms of these online communities? Because, I mean, basically, these are the reason why these things are still relevant till today. Like, you know, people are still playing, and competitively, they're going to be doing a tournament. What was for Street Fighter 3 over there in Japan on actual hardware, like for Evo Japan. So this
know
is
why? It's because let's take the popular games out of the equation.
Okay.
Choo Rocket on Dreamcast, the first Dreamcast online title, is still played online. Phantasy Star Online on Dreamcast, still played online. Let's take to go further. GameCube, Mario Kart Double Dash is still played with
I think that's the best Mario Kart.
That's still
personally.
Kai. Phantasy Star Online version 2 still played on X-Link Kai. A few different titles from there. PS3, those games still played on Xbox 360. Street Fighter 4 still heavily played. Virtual Fighter 5 still heavily played. NBA Street. These games, I don't even know why the servers are still working, but games like that still played.
Yeah, NFL Street, NBA Street,
they're still played online.
They're still played.
Blitz the league, and then NFL. The only Blitz that got turned off was actually the newer version,
the EA one, which pissed me off because I got the NBA Jam and I can't play that bitch online.
Yeah,
but NBA Jam on Android systems. I was showing somebody on the Bash Box playing NBA Jam, not only with updated rosters, but playing somebody online. So they keep some of these games online. And the reason why is because people are actively playing.
I still play Fight Night Round 2 online, Xbox.
I ain't played Round 2 in a while. I play Round 3 on PSP like all the time, almost religiously now. Okay. But, these games, because they're still playing online, what tries to happen is companies nowadays try to recreate that success and they can't. The reason why they can't recreate that success isn't nothing to do with nostalgia. It isn't the fact that these games were
microtransactions, maybe. So
if you look at if you take Third Strike, for example, Third Strike Online had horrible netcode, but the game itself was great. Third Strike as a whole was considered probably the worst Street Fighter as far as
They said that could have single-handedly killed Capcom.
I think Street Fighter 3 actually is what killed the FGC. Not the FGC, the fighting game genre. Because the only games were coming out were still Mortal Kombat and Tekken, but that was it. Yeah. You would see anime titles here and there, but even Evo had these same 6 games for like 8 years.
Yeah.
It was always CVS2, MVC2, and like a Tekken here and there. And I think Virtual Fighter popped up a couple times, but it was always the same games being played up until Street Fighter 4. And Street Fighter 4 kind of brought things back because it was more like Super Turbo than, Street Fighter 3 tried to be. But Street Fighter 3 is kind of like the gold standard in how we play today. It's the most technical Street Fighter you'll ever play. And I think that's on purpose, because that's where he wanted to take it, because games like Virtual Fighter was taking off and it was super technical. Not only that, but they wanted to show off CPS3 hardware, what it could do. That was a good example. And but at the same time, it didn't have acclaim. The reason why it didn't have acclaim, wasn't because it was bad, but marketing sucked and it came out at a horrible time. It came out in between PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2. It was released on Dreamcast, which was probably the worst system to release it on, but the best system to showcase what it could do.
Yeah.
I got a question for you, Bill, since you are a gamer and a FGC aficionado, right?
Oh, yeah.
Project L released its new name, right? What do you think about that game? Do you think that it's going to be it's a lot of hype around it. They basically said that this is the real successor to Marvel vs. Capcom 2. This is what Marvel vs. Capcom 3 should have been. What do you say to that?
What's up, Garage Gamer?
I'm mixed.
Okay,
I
why?
think the real success to Marvel 2 was theoretically Dragon Ball Fighters, and I don't think nothing can capture the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 essence or experience, because Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was a horribly broken game, and that's what made it fun. To be honest, it was the worst balancing in any fighting game in history, and even with tournaments, you forget the fact that there's 56 characters, even though 2 of them is technically Wolverine. But even those 2 Wolverines are completely different.
And people are still learning shit from that game.
But there's no balance at all. And it's here it is, what is it, 23 years later from the original release. And Marvel's 2 is one of my favorite games, but it's got the worst balance in history.
Dude, people just love it.
Who you would think is a great character is the worst characters in the game. This is the only game where Akuma is the worst character in the game. He's a great assist, but you can't use Akuma in Marvel 2 at any real capacity at all. But I don't think Project L is going to capture that. I think Project L is going to be great for a little while.
So what would you say would you would say it's success? If it would be a successful launch for this game, what do you say realistically? It may not hit the heights of Marvel vs. Capcom 2, but if you say, if it stays, relevant for the next 2 years, or it becomes an Evo game, or it sells how many units, what would you say it's a successful launch for this game?
A successful buy-in to these games is going to sound crazy, but for a game like this, Filipino champ, it has to buy off on it, and newer characters, Taystan, for example, who played Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, Justin Wong has to buy off on it. It's almost like, I don't know if you ever heard Snoop Dogg talk about when he went to other cities and he had to check in, where he's basically talking about where he's a Crip, he had to go check in, he had to let the Bloods know, look, ain't no beef or nothing, but I'm letting you know this is what it is. These people are going to have to buy in. Justin Wong is going to have to say, this game
he
is
has to co-sign that game.
Yeah, they got to. And unless they do, they'll never be good, even if they are good. And I'm going to be honest with you, even as a developer, I've gone to Sonic Fox for a project I'm working on because of the project I'm working on. I had to go and say, hey, look, I'm working on this, man. I need you to check this out. And it's not a whole, I got to.
That's respect. That's respect.
Yeah.
It's a respect thing, because I feel like that's where a lot of the fighting games are starting to really lose, is that respect for the players who made them there. Mortal Kombat started dropping off when Sonic Fox said, I'm going to Street Fighter 6. It's not a coincidence Street Fighter 6 picked back up. It's not a coincidence Tekken 8 is doing as well as it's doing, because Nee said Tekken 8 is the game. It's the move. And because of that, the players that make this game what it is, the players that bring in those endorsement deals, those players that
Maximilian and just one, they swear by Tekken 8, and everybody went over there.
If Maximilian dude says don't buy this game, the game won't get purchased. And it's not a go in and kiss the ring thing. It's respect for the people who brought you here.
Yeah,
they're
the G's.
So let's take me for example. I'm doing a bash box. If you personally, people like Dubs, say this shit sucks, then that's a thing that I would have to say, okay, what can I do to make things better? Even with bowling, I took community. And it's not a kiss the ring thing. It's a respect for the people who got me here. People like you, when I was on your shows, when people who broadcast stuff we was doing back when I was at Unico, back when I was doing stuff with At Games. You remember the leaks I gave you there. You know what I mean? You remember when I was doing Killer Instinct before, 2 years before Killer Instinct was ready. So, and again, it's not about kissing the ring. It's about showing respect for people who got you to where you are. And that's where companies start forgetting. It got nothing to do with how great this game is. You got to take a look at, even, on the Japanese side, you got to go to Tokido. You got to go to Daigo. You got to go to the guys there. You got to go to GamerBee. You got to go to the guys there who made these games famous and say, this is what it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? And that's it. Until they get the buy off on it, people aren't going to really check for it, no matter how great it is. And, Garage Gamer's right. It's a great game in its own right. But until certain people buy off on this game, it's not going to get the respect. You got to respect the dons of, the genre.
Yeah, there's a lot. Like you said, there's a lot of great games out there, especially a lot of great fighters. Like I was telling him about Fire Force Fighters, those guys that are developing that game. A lot of these games are dope as hell, but until people sign off on them, they just don't play them. They're not even heard of. They're sitting out there in space, just waiting for somebody to say, "Hey, go check this out."
Now, let me tell you another thing. Look at Power Rangers.
Okay.
And
Dope game.
Power Rangers is a dope game. Power Rangers is a dope game because Justin Wong, shout out to JDF, rest in peace to the big bro, and Clockwork are the guys who really put in the time to say, this is what this fighting game needs. Even with me, I come from the FGC, and even I had to go to different people and say, look, I'm doing this. I need you guys to look at it, tell me what I'm doing wrong. Not to mention the game that I'm remaking is a remake of a game that was considered probably one of the worst fighting games in history. So when we're doing this, I had to go to everybody, and everybody looked at me like, you doing that shit? What the fuck is wrong with you? And I'm like, nah, you got to see my vision. And when people started seeing the vision, they're like, all right, I see where you're trying to go with this. This is how we're going to work this. And that's why, it's starting. That's why I even got the blessing from the IP holders, because it's like I had to talk to certain people and say, this is how we're going to do this. And me, UAG, I've always had to pave my own way. I've never got, investment stuff like that. I've always had to break in to certain things, but I got to a certain point to where I got to look at, where I broke into, where I was to where I am, and say, all right, let me talk to certain people and start making some things happen.
So Meatball Saucy, OG of our community, he said, so one or two people can make or break a game? He said, what if, how about the community in itself?
So let's address that, because he's not wrong. The community, the FGC as a whole, is a horrible place. It's almost as bad as the retro arcade community. I hate the retro arcade.
You got to have tough skin over there in the FGC.
I left the FGC. I took my daughter out of it and everything. And I come from the FGC. I wouldn't even be a developer if it wasn't for the FGC. But as it is now, even talking with a lot of different people, I hate the FGC as a whole, what it stands for. I don't hate the people there. I love the people there. I love a lot of the people there. But if you look at what James and Kay said today, my OG, he was absolutely right. It's full of what it's full of, and the community as a whole is still only going to follow a couple of different people until the community realizes the community as a collective is stronger than one or two people. Then you're not really going to have.
You know what? Unfortunately, it's around hate, but look how much the voice was heard in terms of Mortal Kombat and the crossplay and the lack of creativity over there. You had freaking Ed Boon. He wasn't even tweeting for over like a month and some change, and he's the most active person that you would see on Twitter, and he ain't say shit until Peacemaker came out. And so you also hear everybody saying, look at Tekken. Tekken came out day one crossplay. Tekken has an excellent storyline. Tekken's gameplay is awesome. They had some hiccups on their, online, but they addressed it. They listened to the community. They worked on it. Whereas Mortal Kombat and NetherRealms, they just stick their head in the sand and act like nothing's happened.
I think it's unfair to blame NetherRealm Studios, and a lot more fair to blame WB as a whole. Now you got to think about this. Back when NRS was calling the shots, they made some mistakes on how they did a lot of things within the 3D world of Mortal Kombat. They also contributed to the FGC's downfall too. The fighting game collapse, I call it. But they made a lot of mistakes there. But when WB bought them out, they also made Mortal Kombat 9. So you got to remember,
they have some goods and they have some bad, right?
Yep. And I'll go so far as to do a reach here and say they also did NK versus DC. And that wasn't the greatest game in the world, but it damn sure wasn't a bad one. And it was definitely the precursor to Mortal Kombat 9. They made that to make some lessons, they had some lessons learned and that's where MK9 and that's where Injustice came from. Because without that, they wouldn't have been able to say, okay, 3D just ain't it. And they did try to take more of the 2D route within the 3D space, but without that, they wouldn't have made the mistakes they made.
Without you divulging too much information, because I know the relationships that you have,
right?
Maybe you have to speak in some code. But do you think that there was a real chance that we almost had a Mortal Kombat versus Marvel, or a Marvel game that was brought to us by NRS?
I honestly don't know, and I always like to speak to this because I don't have any relationships with any of those guys anymore. But I don't honestly know. I think, however, if there was the only thing that stopped Mortal Kombat, that would have possibly stopped the Mortal Kombat versus Marvel or a Marvel game from those guys, is Disney buying Marvel around that same time frame. And I think with Disney coming out and Disney wanting to do their own thing, I think WB was in the way. And because of NRS is owned by WB, this is where it's going to be. They're not able to do what they wanted to do. And I think it might have been something in the works pre-Disney buyout. But once Disney came in, I knew that was a done deal. Probably it more than likely wouldn't have happened anymore.
They probably would have had speculation like DC, like no
now,
blood, none of that.
I think now might be a little bit different, but I think then I don't think it would have happened. I truly believed that had they let it happen, we wouldn't have got more Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. And I think people would still be waiting for Marvel vs. Capcom 4. And I think that would have been a good thing for Disney, because now people don't give a shit about Marvel vs. Capcom 4. And, but some people want it, but more people want a Capcom versus game, or Capcom versus Capcom, a proper one, not counting the fighting evolution. But I think now that people are dying away from, I think Marvel vs. Capcom 2 from Arcade 1-Up killed it. And that's no disrespect to my bro, John D. I love him to death. I don't think it was in his call either. I think there's a lot of higher ups that prevented what would have been necessary in order for that to happen. And I think that's also what killed Marvel vs. Capcom 4. I think Capcom and a lot of different people and a lot of different want to milk that money is what caused Marvel vs. Capcom to not be there. I think now is the time for NRS to strike and say, look, this is our plans. You see how we did Injustice, and a Marvel versus DC game might not be out of the equation anymore.
Well, this is the last question I'm gonna leave you before I leave, because my man's got to take care of his missus, right? I don't want him on timeout. I don't want that man. I don't want that man on timeout. All right.
Good. Yeah.
So this is. I'm gonna leave you with this question.
Right.
Do you think that what is has a better chance of happening? Well, do we get another Marvel versus Capcom? Because that relationship is kind of, on the fence. They're working somehow, because John D was able to get this game to re-release, right?
Yeah.
Or do you see a Capcom, SNK 3 come out?
Here's my thing. And this isn't speaking to things that I'm privy to that the public isn't. Capcom versus SNK 3 is more likely, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon either. The reason why I don't think that's going to happen is because King of Fighters, as a fighting game now, is a lot different than it used to be back then. To where if you take Capcom versus SNK 2, it was still a Street Fighter game, even with the King of Fighters cast in there, the Fate of Fury cast and what have you. It's still a Street Fighter game. Any way you turn it, it was definitely Street Fighter.
Okay.
I don't think that could work now. I don't think you'd want KOF characters in Street Fighter 6, and I don't think you'd want that same engine powering a game like this. And it's not to say that Street Fighter 6 wouldn't work with Capcom versus K. I think with budgeting, I think with timing, I don't think Street Fighter 6 is in a prime, or Capcom is in a position to do a CVS 3. Not anymore. And the reason why is because I think SNK took a different route with how they did KOF, and because the way KOF plays, you know, it's not going to work in Street Fighter anymore. People who play Street Fighter don't play King of Fighters the same way. And when you play King of Fighters, you get good at King of Fighters, you kind of lose skill sets and other things because of how technical it is. You might get better at Virtual Fighter, but you're not going to be the same Street Fighter player anymore. It's a whole different ballgame. If you look at people like Nas Ghazi, you know, people like him who play he can't even play Street Fighter anymore because it's not the same game. It's not the same technicalities. You know, even with Guilty Gear is a highly technical anime fighter. It's no King of Fighters at all. And because of that, I don't think you'll see CBS 3, at least in this generation.
So while we here, before we go, I just got to get this off my chest.
Right.
So the answer that I gave him about Yuzu and Nintendo not having a leg was correct.
Yes and no. Now you gotta think, Nintendo's leg in this case is being propped up by a shit ton of money.
But that's what I'm saying. So I mean, now if we just say Nintendo is going to throw a whole lot of money at this thing until Yuzu is like bankrupt, which they're really not going to go bankrupt. They're just going to switch, right?
Look at Bleem. Look at what Sony did to Bleem. Sony never put Bleem out of business. Sony made the Bleem the emulator authors extremely rich men and told them to stop doing this shit.
Yeah.
And it became Pop Station. If anybody really pays attention to Bleem, Bleem became Pop Station. And that's where we are. Nintendo's not going to take that same route. They're just going to litigate them out of existence.
Their money is longer.
Yep.
At the end of the day, they could outlast you. So, okay.
So everybody's gonna move over to that little baby with the letter R in it. Then.
All right, I'm out of here.
All right, Bill. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, man.
All right. So you can get rid of Yuzu, but they're not the only baby on the block. So
no, and it sounds like that's the case, right?
Yeah.
Man, I don't know what's to come. You know, listen, the pirate people always are one step ahead. Right? They're always one step ahead. They're always one step ahead.
It's too much money involved. Think about it, man. If you are working on a project and you got source code, right? You're getting paid. Let's say you're not even in the United States, but you're getting paid minimal dollars. You're getting paid minimal dollars, and you hold this source code. All you got to do is release it, and you make a ton of fucking money. Somebody out there is like dangling this carrot. Man, people bite this stuff all the time because a lot of the time they're getting so much money for the source code that they can just.
You got to speak to my man over here, MGK. I know I suck, but I want to try it. I
heard everybody talking about it. I haven't checked it out yet.
Maybe we should make that happen. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
But guys, man, I appreciate all y'all coming through here. My man, close out the show. You know how to do it.
Hey, man, check this out. So you could be anywhere in the world, but you're right here with us. So we love you for it. Thank you so much, and good night.
You heard the man. You ain't got to go home. We got to get the hell up out of here. Peace.
You out there right now, do not give a darn what opinion people have of you, long as that opinion is not consistent of that of yourself. You be you. I'm not planning to make you feel good about me. I already feel good about me. I'm good. Message for the youngsters out there and the old school.